I'm Ashley, and today we're going to do another sketchbook tour. So this was completed from March of 2025 through May of 2025. So I'm really catching up on my sketchbook tours here on my channel, and it's kind of keeping me motivated to keep working in my sketchbooks and get them finished. So this sketchbook, again, I completed it pretty quickly. This one took about 3 months, and so I'm happy with that amount of progress, and I really did fairly consistent work in this sketchbook. So real quick before we jump in, I do want to say often when I'm filming videos, I get really engrossed in what I'm doing, and so I forget to ask for engagement, but it really does help out my channel and my videos. So if you like this video, please give it a like at any point during the video. If you find something interesting or helpful or just want to say hi, leave a comment and I will definitely respond to you. I try to respond to every single comment that I get, so we can really just kind of start a conversation and build a community here surrounding art. So I really do appreciate that when you engage. So let's jump in and go through my sketchbook, which I titled Exploring because I was really just trying to dive in and explore a bunch of different kind of styles and techniques. So my first pages here, I have drawings by my daughters. So my daughter's a gymnast, and so she loves to try to draw gymnastics things. So this is the uneven bars. I love the huge feet, it's funny. Here was just some sketching practice. I was using a kind of gesture drawing channel. I'll link the channel down in the description, but basically it's just they have gesture models, I don't know if that's what it's called, and they hold poses for different lengths of time. So these were 1 minute, and I had to try to draw the poses in 1 minute. And so it's really just a nice way to loosen up in your sketching practice to try to draw these figures quickly. And so here was more of that same thing. So as I progressed through, they got more and more detailed. I don't know if they got more and more successful, but they definitely got more detailed. And then this I drew while my daughter was at gymnastics. So she was on her beam rotation, and I started with just one of them. I think I started with this one and then realized that I was cutting off her feet. And then I was like, well, that's okay, I can do another one. And then I developed into this progression. And so I really like the perspective of this. And this, I know it's early in the sketchbook, but this is one of my favorite pages in this whole sketchbook. And I chose not to paint it because I just loved the kind of quick, sketchy feel of the pencil. That same day at her gymnastics, I went ahead and sketched her bar rotation and her vault rotation as well. So just capturing different poses and trying to go for a really quick impressionistic style here of these figures, so they don't have faces or anything, just quick and trying to get the gestures. So it's kind of like continuing on that gesture drawing practice, but in real life. This was me just kind of finishing up my birth month animal watercolor sketching practice. So this was for December, and that was kind of the last page. So I drew just a whole bunch of different rats, essentially trying to figure out what poses I liked. This was for a challenge on Watercolor Beginners and Beyond, and I think this challenge was by Christy Wright. I'll link the Watercolor Beginners and Beyond in the description as well. And then Christy Rice has an awesome watercolor channel. If you haven't checked her out, you should. She's amazing. But this was just a challenge for that, and I really liked the texture in the background that I got here. Here is a quick sketch of my daughter in the car reading, and then I just went back and painted it later. I really like some of the sections in this. Like, I love her jacket. I love her feet, and just kind of that you can tell what she's wearing in the pose. Her face and hair, I'm not super excited about, but I still like the sketch. This was playing with Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 watercolor crayon, basically. And I just got one color. I don't even remember which color it is, but it's like olivey green. And then I also got a yellow watercolor pencil. So I was using those to do these quick pairs, and I really like the texture of them, and I think it's kind of a cute little composition here. And then I added some watercolor in pink for the background to contrast. So pink and purple are the contrasting colors of green and yellow. So that's why I made those choices. And then the background was just, I saw a pattern video, like a short, it just came up on my feed, and I really liked the pattern that they were doing, and it looked fun. It was so hard though, so I just kept practicing over and over, and I kept messing up. But I think it's kind of a cool background for this. And then my daughter did another gymnastics drawing, so I think this is supposed to be like mounting the beam. And so she, again, gigantic feet, but it's cute. And then this was pit blocks in their gym. They have like a pit full of foamy blocks that they can jump into and drop off the rope into and everything. So that's her drawing. And then I drew some dragons. So I was using other animals as inspiration for the dragons. So this one's kind of a goat or like a ram. And then this one was a jaguar, and then basically just added tails and wings. So these ones were pretty fun to draw. This was drawn from life at outside of like a local restaurant area that we have. There's this rope thing, and it was so busy, and there were so many kids climbing. But yeah, so I just kind of did a quick impression of it. It's not great. If I went in and darkened some of the lines, I think it'd be a lot better, but I'm not going to go back and do anything with it. But it was just fun to sit there and draw while the kids were climbing. Here is another dragon, just kind of working on different wing styles or textures. So this is more like bird wing inspired with all of the feathers. And so then I kind of used that feathery style to draw some more. And then these ones I painted. This was colors chosen by my 4-year-old. So she chose all of the colors with the pink head, the purple tail, the rainbow wings, and then the rainbow claws. But she wanted the arms and legs white. So that's what I did. And then this was just like a washy silhouette look. So it's supposed to kind of look like there's maybe like a sunset in the background, and the wings are kind of transparent. But I don't know if it actually looks like that, but it was just a quick wash of watercolor. This is a tulip dragon, which I have not further iterated. I kind of like the idea. The execution, maybe not the best. It was super quick and like really streaky looking, like linear, which is okay, but I think it'd be better with a little bit more refinement. But I do like that idea. And this was from the book by Sarah J. Maas, the ACOTAR series. If you haven't read them, then it's not going to make a lot of sense to you. But this, if you have read them, you should kind of recognize this. But this is Farah looking out over the 3 mountains that are very prominent in the story. And so her in her Illyrian form. And then this is in a further book in the series, but Cassian is training Nesta, and so this is part of their training routine. And I really like this spread. I'm really happy with the looseness of it and kind of the washy backgrounds and everything. This I drew while I was at gymnastics again, and so I just decided to sketch some of the people that were watching, and then I painted it just in colors that I liked. It was not colors from life, and I just wanted like pops of color. So I didn't paint the whole thing, but I painted, just his clothing and this purse just to get those pops of color and then splattered in the background. And that was really fun to do. And then this one, I actually drew the same day that I drew the people from life. And I went ahead and chose to do similar color scheme so that the page kind of looks cohesive. But this was just like my interpretation of a fashion sketch. So I liked the pops of green on the color and some of the shading and stuff that I got on this one. But it was just a quick like washy colors after I did the drawing. Here is some fruit fairies. So I used strawberries and oranges as my inspiration to draw these fairies. So she has kind of strawberry, dark-ish strawberry red hair, and then she's got the orange hair and like a leaf coming off her bun. So I kind of liked those. So that would, again, something that I could further interpret or iterate if I chose to. But I kind of like these like really gigantic bold wings. So yeah, that was fun to do. And then this butterfly I found in a book. My daughter wanted to grab this book of butterflies from the library. So it was like a scientific book describing all the butterflies, where they're from, what their stages are, their size. Anyway, very scientific. But I was flipping through and I found this one that looked just like glass, and it was so cool. So I had to try to paint it. My interpretation doesn't look as cool, but it still looks cool. But man, this was a really cool butterfly. I should have labeled it with the name of the butterfly. I don't know what I was thinking, but very, very, very cool and fun to paint. That same day that we got the butterfly book, I also got a tulip book. And so these paintings were done based on tulips in that book. And these were done with watercolor brush pens or markers instead of regular watercolor. But you can use it the same way. You can put it on a palette and use a regular brush, or you can draw it on and then activate with the water. So I find that it's just maybe a little bit easier to get the darkest values using those brush pens instead of regular watercolor, but you could definitely do it either way. And so I really enjoyed getting all of these like layers of petals in this one and all the details. This one was super fun. It was a very interesting looking tulip, so it was very different. And I love the transition from yellows to greens on the petals. Usually I find it very hard to get depth in yellows, but I think since it transitioned to the green, it made it a little bit easier. And, I used a little bit more of like a orangey, ochre color for the darks, and then that more bright lemon yellow for the lights. So I was really happy with this one as well. And then I did one more. This one was not as successful, in my opinion. Trying to get these really light white petals essentially was just really challenging. If I went in and did a background, it would have made them pop more, but I was kind of over it by that time. But I do like the curve that I got in this petal here. I like some of the bleeds on the green. So, it was okay. Definitely a learning experience. If I wanted to paint more white things, I would have to practice more for sure. On this sketch, I just sketched my kids, just different views of them. And I used ink for these three and then pencil for this one. I don't really know why, but that's okay. So these were straight in with ink, not doing the pencil sketch first. And I was just really practicing trying to capture features and somewhat likenesses. And then when I went back to paint it, I was like, well, let me just do like a limited color palette painting. So I just did pink and purple. I don't remember what versions of pink and purple I used, but it's probably Permanent Rose most likely, and then maybe Winsor Violet possibly. I don't know for sure though. But I just used those two colors and tried to do the pinks for the more highlighted areas, purple for the more shadowed. And I was really happy with how this turned out. I think this is such a fun little sketchbook page. Then we have this page, which I was worried about painting because I liked the pencil sketches so much. So I actually took a picture of it before I painted it just so that I could remember what it looked like with the pencil sketches. But then once I started, I really enjoyed painting these. So I started with this one and I just loved creating all these folds and depth in her dance leotard and then getting the shadows on the skin and everything. So this was very fun. And then doing the splatters and the washiness for the background. I just really think it came together well. And then for the top one, I really also enjoyed this one. It was fun to paint, and I like kind of the pale dress kind of as a contrast to the grasses and the green in the background. So I think that looks really nice, and I think you can really tell that she's blowing a dandelion, so I was really happy with that. I also like her hair in this one too. So I was happy that I overcame my little bit of trepidation of painting these.
Yep.
And then this page is another spread, and it's from a different Sarah J. Maas book. This one is from Throne of Glass. So this is the character Manon, and I did just a variety of different poses and scenes. And so I was really kind of working on figures and developing different perspectives of the figures. And then, you know, I got to throw her dragon in there too. I think it's a wyvern is the type. But anyway, and I really like her hair. It's this white color and like moon white. So I got the silvers in there, and I really like how her hair turned out in all of them. And then the red coat just as a nice pop of color. And then this is the main character in Throne of Glass, Aelin, or Selena in parts of it. But again, if you haven't read it, you're not gonna get these references. But I was really happy with these ones. She is a fire wielder. And so I, on this one, had her holding fire, and I like the glow that I got on her skin and the shirt here. I think that looks cool. And then I love this dress. I want this dress. I would totally wear it. And I was really happy with the batwing hair comb clip things that I got in her hair. So I had to kind of figure out, okay, what does a batwing look like? Now, if I turned that perspective, what would that look like? And so I actually erased it, but I had drawn out here like a batwing and then kind of played with some different perspectives. And so I was really happy with how those turned out. I don't love her hair in this one. I left too much of the pencil. And so it's really like dark and muddy looking, but maybe she just hadn't showered in a while. I don't know. But in these ones, I like her hair. And then this one, she's riding the stag, and she's got this fiery crown on. So this one was fun as well. And she's got the gold body armor. So yeah, I was really happy with this spread as well. This is another one where I drew my kids. So I just had pencil sketches, and then I went in and painted it later. This was the first time I used my Daniel Smith split primary palette. So this was kind of me playing with mixing those colors and using them. And I was really happy with the vibrancy. I love this yellow, how it goes from this like orangey color to this sheared out. That's all just one color, and I think that's so cool. And it obviously, you know, it's a mixing limited palette, mixing palette though. So I can get all the colors that I need and want, and really good vibrancy on those. So I was happy with this spread also. The likenesses are okay. They don't look exactly like my kids, but just gotta keep practicing. These were all just basically pictures, not this one. These were all pictures that I found on Pinterest, and I tried to draw them. And then this is an actor who was Hook in Once Upon a Time. I can't remember his name. This looks nothing like him, so I'm sorry to that actor, but that's okay. So I was just, again, practicing drawing portraits from different perspectives. So that was kind of the key to this. I wanted, you know, a more front on, tilted down, a more profile view, and then like a 3/4 view. And I really like parts of this. Like, I think this one looks really good. This one, I like his shirt and maybe his ear. The rest of it's not the best. And this one, I like the texture that I got in his hair. And I do like the skin tone and like the variations in skin tone that I got, the highlight over the eye. So this one, parts of it, I really like. This one is just not great. So don't have a lot that I like about that one. This page was sketching from life again. Took my kids to the zoo and they had this little play area. So we took a little break there, let them play, and I just sat and sketched. It's not in perspective or anything, but I captured both of my kids and then this big like prominent butterfly thing that they had over it. And then again, this was something that I came and painted later. I find that that's kind of what I've been doing when I'm sketching from life. I can just get out a pencil and sketch on location, but having the time, especially with my kids, to get out the paints and do it is a little bit harder, but I can definitely sketch and then paint later. So that's what I did. I like this tree in the background and I do like the butterfly. And like I said, I like that I captured both the kids. This was a bug that I did from imagination. So I was very happy with this drawing. I think it looks like it could be a real bug, and I like the little curly antenna. And then in the shadow, how I kind of showed the curly antenna in the shadow too. I think that's cute. And I do like the colors of this as well, and the contrast from the, super darks to the lights. So this one was really fun to do, and I was proud of myself for being able to complete it all from imagination. This was just kind of random sketching. So I was at work in a meeting and decided to sketch my water bottle and a pen. And so that was kind of the first part of this. And then I painted them later again. I just sketched with pencil. And then from there, I was like, well, I kind of need to fill the rest of the page and I don't want to keep going with like these kind of items. So I was like, whatever, I'll just do random stuff. So I have a succulent. This was a continuous line drawing. And so this was a reference from probably Pinterest that I tried to kind of emulate a little bit. It's okay, it's sort of successful. And then this, I don't have any idea what flowers these are, but I saw a picture on Pinterest of them and I loved the really broad leaves and then the kind of pink and green contrast. And I was really happy with this sketch. I didn't do a continuous line sketch on this, but it was close. So that was kind of fun too, to do sort of a continuous line sketching. And then this is another just Pinterest portrait that I tried to paint. I kind of like it. It's pretty dramatic with the darks on her face compared to the very, very lights. Probably could have gotten a little bit more darks in the hair, but I do kind of like it, and I like the muted tones also. And then these were ones that I kind of sketched whenever I had time in pencil, and I sketched these two first, and then I decided to go for nature theme on all of them. So it's very greens heavy. And we have kind of our like studies of real close-up items, and then the kind of more broad perspective of this path. So I thought that was kind of cool to throw one more like distant perspective in. And I really like all of these. I think they are fun. I think that the color, all work really well together with some of the pinks and reds popping into all of them, and obviously greens. So this was also just really, really fun to draw and paint. I really enjoyed these ones. And then here were some practice figures. Again, these pictures were found on Pinterest, and I just wanted to try to practice. This one, the proportions are off. Like her top is very long and her bottom is very, very short. So that was kind of a bit of an error there on the drawing part of it. And it's okay. The yellow's okay. I do like this color of yellow that I used, but it just kind of tried to add in the shadows. It didn't work the best, but I do like her arms, her head. There are parts that I like, but the dress itself isn't the best, and then obviously the proportions. So after I drew this one, and I was like, I'm fixing proportions. And this one I'm much happier with. And honestly, I just really like this whole page. I love I put the wash of yellow in the background and then left her dress white. And then, you know, some of the yellows bleeding out toward the dress. So maybe that's the light kind of shining through it if it's a little bit more sheer fabric. It was also just really fun to draw this dress with all the folds. So yeah, I was very happy with this one. And then we have a couple more of my kids' drawings. My daughter never finished this one. It was going to be a ballerina. You can tell by the bun, but she hasn't finished that one. I'll probably let her finish that. And then this was my younger daughter drawing, and I think she said that this was a ballerina also, with her long arms over her head. And then one more of my 4-year-old's drawings. And that is it for this sketchbook. So this, again, was just all about like kind of exploring and expanding my kind of comfort zone, I guess. So a lot more figures, a lot more portraits in this, and then just playing with color also, and using colors that weren't necessarily true to life, and kind of just exploring that as well. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.